Chosen one. Stop for a moment. Heaven itself has paused to speak to you. Everything around you, the noise, the scrolling, the endless distraction has been divinely interrupted. This is not coincidence. This is intervention. You have been marked for a message that few will ever hear, because few are willing to listen. Listen carefully. You are not here by mistake. God saw the moment your heart began to grow restless. The moment your spirit began to feel a trembling it couldn't explain. That trembling is heaven's pause, a divine stillness that settles before a word of warning. You've felt it lately, haven't you? The world feels louder, but inside, there's a silence that unsettles you. That silence is not emptiness, it's the breath before the trumpet. It's heaven holding its breath, waiting for your response. Chosen one. There comes a time when God no longer whispers. He thunders. He shakes the ground beneath your comfort to awaken what has been asleep too long. You have sensed it in your dreams, in random moments, in sudden waves of conviction that seem to come from nowhere. But they are not from nowhere, they are from above. You see, heaven doesn't pause for the crowd, it pauses for the called. And you, yes, you are being called out of distraction, out of delay, out of double-mindedness. There is a reason your spirit feels unsettled when you try to go back to the old ways. There is a reason sin doesn't satisfy you anymore. You are being marked by fire. Listen, your obedience in this moment determines the shape of your next season. You may think you're just listening to a message, but the truth is, heaven is listening to you. Every reaction of your heart is being written in the records of eternity. The Spirit of God is saying, do not take this lightly. This is not a casual reminder. This is a divine warning. The Lord has seen how close you have come to losing your light in the crowd's comfort. But mercy has interrupted judgment today. Look back on your life for a second. Every delay, every rejection, every door that refused to open it was not punishment. It was protection. The enemy thought he could bury you under disappointment, but God used that same soil to plant you deeper. And now, heaven is whispering, rise. The time of dormancy is over. You can no longer play small. You can no longer pretend that this message is for someone else. You can no longer scroll past the sound of your own awakening. There's something sacred about this moment. You can feel it. Goosebumps rise. Your heartbeat changes. Your eyes sting with the beginning of tears. That's not emotion. That's recognition. Your spirit recognizes the frequency of home. Beloved, do not mistake comfort for peace. True peace does not numb you. It aligns you. True peace convicts before it comforts. And if God is shaking your spirit right now, it's because He refuses to let you settle where you were never meant to stay. There's a mantle waiting for you, a higher calling. And before every calling, there is always a pause, a divine stillness where God separates noise from purpose. That's where you are right now, between what was and what will be. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 42, therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. This is your wake-up call. Heaven has paused, but it will not pause forever. When God speaks, delay is disobedience. When God warns, indifference becomes rebellion. So take a breath. Let your heart bow. Say aloud, Lord, I hear you, because when you respond, Heaven moves. Angels take their positions. Darkness loses ground. This message reached you for a reason. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are being summoned. Now, before you scroll away, take a simple act of obedience, like this message. Share it. And subscribe, not for vanity, but because this is where heaven will continue to speak to the chosen ones. Stay connected, because the shaking has just begun, and you will need every word of direction to stand firm in the days ahead. If you feel this word burning inside you, comment 999 below as a prophetic act declaring, I am awake, I am listening. Heaven sees every 999 as a symbol of readiness, a signal that you are aligned with the divine moment. The pause is over. The word has been released. What you do next determines what heaven does next. You feel it again, don't you? That trembling deep in your spirit that no one else can explain. The shaking has begun, not in the world around you, but within you. The shaking is not punishment, it is preparation. Heaven is aligning what has been scattered. The Spirit of God is stirring something in you that cannot stay dormant any longer. Chosen one, the unease you feel is holy. It is the vibration of heaven calling your soul to attention. You are being awakened from spiritual sleep, summoned to see what others ignore. Do not confuse this shaking with chaos. It is construction. God is rebuilding you, reordering your priorities, removing what no longer fits your divine identity. You might ask, why now? Why me? Because heaven does not waste time on those who are not ready. You have been through seasons of pruning, loss, and confusion because you were being prepared for a moment when discernment would be your greatest weapon. The shaking in your spirit is heaven's way of saying, pay attention. The next movement is divine. Led, you can feel how time has accelerated. Days blur together. But your spirit senses that something unseen is moving fast. You feel like you're standing between two worlds, the natural and the spiritual, and both are demanding your focus. This tension you feel is not madness, it is awakening. There are moments when God must shake what you hold to reveal what truly holds you. He shakes false comfort, false identity, false safety, until the only thing left standing is truth. And truth always stands firm when everything else crumbles. The shaking will not destroy you, it will define you. The Spirit is sifting your life, not to expose weakness, but to reveal strength. Every tear, every disappointment, every season of silence was a rehearsal for this hour. You are not breaking down, you are breaking open. When the earth trembles, foundations are tested. The same is happening within you now. God is testing what you've built, your beliefs, your obedience, your motives, to ensure that when the next storm comes, you will not fall. It is written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 27. The words, once more, indicate the removing of what can be shaken. That is, created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. These words echo through eternity into your life right now. God is allowing a divine shaking so that everything temporary falls away, and only the eternal remains. You may lose comfort, but you will gain clarity. You may lose relationships, but you will gain revelation. These words echo through eternity into your life right now. God is allowing a divine shaking so that everything temporary falls away, and only the eternal remains. You may lose comfort, but you will gain clarity. You may lose relationships, but you will gain revelation. And in that revelation, you will rediscover strength you thought was gone, courage you thought was buried, and peace that no storm can steal again. Heaven is proving you unbreakable. Do not resist what heaven is shaking. The walls that are falling were never meant to protect you. They were meant to imprison you. The unease you feel is not a sign of failure. It's the sound of old chains breaking. Let your heart yield to the process. Do not rush to rebuild what God is dismantling. When God shakes your world, He is also shaking open doors you didn't know existed. You are being shifted from ordinary obedience to extraordinary purpose. The shaking also exposes what has been hidden. Sometimes you only discover the strength of your foundation when everything around it moves. That's what God is showing you now. Your unshakable core, the part of you built on faith, not fear. Heaven is reintroducing you to your original strength, long before the pain, before the disappointments, before the betrayals. There was a version of you clothed in purpose and light. That version is reawakening now. The shaking is heaven's way of brushing the dust off your destiny. Don't fight the process. Don't run from the trembling. The shaking you feel today will become the stability you stand on tomorrow. Every storm that rattled your faith is becoming proof that your foundation is divine. The Spirit of the Lord whispers, "Do not fear the shaking, for it means I am near." When God draws close, everything unstable must move. You are being refined in motion, strengthened in surrender. Soon, the shaking will end, and what remains will be pure faith that cannot be silenced, hope that cannot be crushed, and purpose that cannot be delayed. Be still inside the shaking. Listen. Heaven is rearranging everything to prepare you for what's next. Chosen one. Pause and breathe. You are standing on holy ground, an invisible crossroad between what looks like blessing and what hides destruction. The moment feels heavy because it is you are being tested, not by circumstance, but by resemblance. What you are about to face will look good, sound right, and even feel divine, but it will not be from God. The most dangerous trap the enemy sets is not made of darkness, it is wrapped in light. It offers you shortcuts, promises of peace, easy success, and the praise of people, yet behind it lies a slow erosion of your soul. You must discern the difference between divine timing and disguised temptation. Heaven's gifts always come with peace, but counterfeit blessings come with pressure. You've been praying for a door to open, but before God opens one, the enemy often builds a fake one beside it. It shines brighter, promises faster results, and appeals to the parts of you that are still healing. But the Spirit of the Lord is whispering, "Wait, test the spirit behind the offer." Not every opportunity is ordained, and not every voice speaking favor is speaking truth. You've come too far to trade your crown for convenience. The counterfeit always shows up right before the promise. It tries to trick you into stepping off your path, just one decision short of breakthrough. Do not move until heaven confirms the direction. Sometimes, what looks like alignment is actually assignment from darkness. The enemy studies your desires, your prayers, your patterns. He crafts distractions that mirror your dreams, hoping you'll bite the bait before discernment speaks. But you, chosen one, are wiser now. The shaking from before has sharpened your senses. The pause from heaven has taught you how to listen. Discernment is not suspicion, it is spiritual sight. It's the inner knowing that something is off, even when everything looks perfect. That's the Holy Spirit whispering, "This is not me." You must not ignore those gentle checks in your spirit. God protects His chosen ones, not through barriers, but through discernment, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. The second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 14. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. Oh, let those words sink deep. The counterfeit light looks pure, but its source is pride. It flatters rather than convicts, excites rather than transforms. Be careful with the people who suddenly appear to offer you platforms or promises that seem too easy. Sometimes, the enemy sends fans before God sends purpose. Heaven wants to see if your loyalty lies with the promise or the promiser. This is why certain opportunities are being delayed. They were never meant for you. What you think you lost was actually a test you passed. Do not rush into anything in this season. Move slow. Pray longer. Wait for peace that does not demand performance. If it truly comes from God, it will not require you to abandon your convictions to keep it. You may notice things crumbling that once felt solid, relationships fading, plans collapsing, invitations withdrawing. Rejoice. God is removing every imitation so that when the true door opens, you will recognize His fingerprints all over it. You are being refined to recognize heaven's frequency, every false promise, every near miss. Every heartbreak has trained your spirit to distinguish between the counterfeit glow and the genuine glory. The Holy Spirit is making you dangerous to deception. Chosen one, let this truth settle. Discernment is not born from fear, but from intimacy. The closer you walk with the shepherd, the more clearly you hear His voice among the noise. Stay close. Stay listening. Stay aligned. There will come a moment soon when you will face another glittering offer. And in that instant, you will remember this word. You will sense the still, small voice say, "This is not your door," and you will walk away with peace, not regret. When that moment comes, don't second guess yourself. Heaven trusts you more than you think. The discernment you are receiving now is your shield against the coming deception. Guard it fiercely. And when you know this message speaks to your spirit, comment, "I discern clearly," below. Say it as a declaration, not a wish, because when you speak it, you agree with heaven's training over your life. It's not just a comment, it's a covenant of awareness, a prophetic sign that you will not fall for the counterfeit again. Remember this, true light exposes, false light entertains. God's promises require faith. The enemy's counterfeits require compromise. Choose wisely. Walk slowly. And keep your eyes fixed on the source of true illumination. The counterfeit door is before you, but so is the genuine one. Heaven watches, waiting for your step. Choose a discernment. Choose truth. Choose the narrow way. There is a battle unfolding quietly around you. Chosen one, a battle not of swords or blood, but of voices. You stand at the center of persuasion. Heaven whispers one thing while the world shouts another. You are being pulled between urgency and distraction, purpose and comfort. The voices of delay sound gentle, evenkind, but they are designed to keep you still when God is telling you to move. The enemy rarely tells you, "Stop obeying God." He simply says, "You can do it later." He does not tell you to rebel outright. He invites you to rest in the wrong moment. Delay feels harmless until you realize it has become disobedience. The quiet whisper of "not now" is often the loudest weapon of darkness. You have felt this war in your mind every time you sense the nudge to pray, but reach for your phone instead. Every time, conviction comes, but comfort argues louder. The battle is not external, it's inside the gates of your attention. Whoever owns your attention controls your direction. That is why the war for your focus is fierce. You've been hearing too many voices, opinions, trends. The chorus of fear that fills the air. Yet, somewhere in the chaos, the still small voice of God continues to speak. You know that voice. It doesn't shout. It pierces. It doesn't flatter. It awakens. It calls you to rise above the noise and step into clarity. Chosen one. Distraction has a sound, and lately, it has been louder than truth. The enemy has been using subtle tools, endless scrolling, constant comparaison, meaningless busyness to drain your sensitivity. But the Spirit of God is interrupting this pattern. Heaven is reclaiming your attention. The reason you feel so restless lately is that your spirit knows it was made for more than endless noise. You can't find peace in the crowd, because peace doesn't dwell where confusion reigns. You have been set apart for silence that speaks louder than chaos. Heaven is not asking you to be busy. Heaven is asking you to be awake. Busyness produces exhaustion. Obedience produces fruit. You are not called to keep up. You are called to tune in. You are not meant to perform. You are meant to perceive. Listen closely. Chosen one, if the enemy can't stop you with sin, he will stop you with speed. He will fill your days with distractions so you never notice your drift. That is why heaven is slowing you down, not as punishment, but as protection. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 5, verse 32. So be careful to do what the Lord your God has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Oh, that command still echoes today. The path of destiny is narrow, not because God is cruel, but because truth is precise. One small distraction, one subtle compromise, one delayed obedience can shift an entire generation's timeline. Your obedience is not private, it ripples through eternity. When God gives you instruction, He doesn't need agreement from others. He needs movement from you. Don't wait for confirmation from those who don't carry your calling. Heaven already confirmed it in the moments you couldn't sleep. When conviction stirred, your spirit and tears came without warning. That was your sign. Sometimes, the hardest part of obedience is not the act itself, but the silence that follows. You obey, and nothing seems to happen. No applause, no breakthrough, just stillness. But remember, heaven always moves in hidden patterns before it manifests in visible form. Every quiet act of obedience becomes thunder in the spirit realm. You may think your small prayers don't matter, but heaven keeps records of whispered faith. Every yes you've whispered in the dark has built walls of protection you cannot yet see. The voices of distraction will keep coming, but you are learning to recognize their tone. They sound like urgency without purpose, passion without peace, movement without meaning. They promise you control, but leave you empty. Don't chase noise. Chase clarity. Let this truth anchor you. Peace is your confirmation. not popularity. The path of the obedient is often lonely, but it is never lost. God will meet you where distraction cannot follow. Soon, you will notice that the very things that used to attract you now irritate your spirit. That is not boredom, it's elevation. Your appetite is changing because your assignment is near. You can no longer be satisfied with noise when you were created for revelation. Chosen one. Silence is not absence, it is alignment. When God grows quiet, He is not ignoring you. He is training you to hear His whispers above the world's volume. You are being prepared to carry messages that cannot survive in distraction. Stay anchored in stillness. Refuse to turn aside, even slightly. The world will keep spinning fast, but you will walk in divine rhythm. And when others stumble in confusion, you will stand firm, steady, silent, and sure. The voices will try again. But now you know the difference. You are no longer easy prey for distraction. You are becoming a voice yourself, a voice that calls others back to focus, back to faith, back to obedience. The noise fades. The truth remains. Heaven is waiting for your next yes. Chosen one. There is a stirring inside you that feels like thunder muffled beneath the surface. You have been quiet for too long, watching, waiting, hoping someone else would carry the torch. But heaven is saying, it's time. The warrior in you has been asleep, but your name is being whispered in the courts of heaven again. You are not forgotten, you are being summoned. Think of a soldier hearing the distant sound of a trumpet. He may not see the battlefield yet, but his spirit straightens. His heart knows what's coming. That's you right now. The trumpet has sounded. Heaven is waking the sleeping warrior within you. Every season of exhaustion, every night you almost gave up, it wasn't wasted. Those moments were your training ground. While you thought you were being buried, God was teaching you how to breathe under pressure. You were learning endurance in the silence, courage in the waiting, faith in the fire. You have been through enough pain to crush 100 hearts. Yet you are still here. You've walked through betrayal and still chosen compassion. You've been misunderstood, but never lost your mercy. You've carried weight that would have broken others. But somehow, by grace, you're still standing. That's not coincidence, that's divine construction. Your strength is not loud, it's steady. It's the quiet kind of power that grows in hidden places. Heaven calls it resilience. You were built for storms, not because you enjoy them, but because you know who sails with you through them. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 18, verse 39. You armed me with strength for battle. You humbled my adversaries before me. And those ancient words are not just history, they're your prophecy. God is clothing you in armor right now. You can feel it in your chest, a holy fire returning. A courage you thought was gone, coming back alive. There is a generation waiting for your voice. Chosen one. Your story holds keys for those still locked in despair. When you speak, you don't just share words, you release freedom. Your pain has been converted into power, your scars into strategies. Think of yourself as a lighthouse. You don't chase ships, you stand firm, shining through the storm, guiding them home. That's what your testimony will do. You won't need to shout for attention. Your light will draw those drowning in darkness. But here's the truth. Even lighthouses need maintenance. The flame must be refueled. That's why community matters, why staying connected is not optional. We strengthen each other. spark by spark, prayer by prayer, story by story. This is why I invite you, from the heart, to like this message, share it, and subscribe, not as a routine, but as an act of unity. When you do, it's not about numbers, it's about light, joining light. Every connection becomes a torch passed forward. Every share, a ripple of awakening across souls who feel forgotten. Your single act of sharing can reach someone standing at the edge of surrender. Your click may carry a message into a phone at midnight, where someone is whispering, "God, give me a sign," and your obedience becomes that sign. Let your like be a lantern. Let your share be a bridge. Let your subscribe be a decision to walk with heaven, to remain close as the messages unfold. You're not following a voice, you're following a calling. Chosen one. Do you see it now? The weariness you've carried wasn't the end, it was the preparation. The shaking you felt wasn't destruction, it was alignment. You were never abandoned in the wilderness, you were being refined into a weapon of light. God is raising an army that doesn't fight with swords, but with truth, compassion, and courage. And you, yes, you, are part of that remnant. You will walk into rooms and shift atmospheres, speak words that break invisible chains, pray prayers that alter destinies. But for now, your assignment is simple. Stand tall, light your lamp, and let your life become proof that resurrection is real. When you lift others, heaven lifts you. When you share light, heaven multiplies yours. This is not marketing, it's ministry. Every small act of obedience becomes a spark in the great wildfire of awakening. So, chosen one, as the wind of heaven moves through your soul, take your place. Let the warrior rise. Let your fire burn again. The world needs the sound of your courage, the warmth of your compassion, the steadiness of your faith. You are not a follower of trends, you are a leader of transformation. When others fade, you will shine. When others doubt, you will declare. And when the darkness trembles, it will whisper your name, because heaven has marked you as unstoppable. The trumpet has sounded, the warrior has awakened. It's time to move forward. You feel it again, don't you? That strange urgency in your spirit. The sense that something invisible is watching, waiting, weighing your response. This isn't fear, it's the echo of heaven calling your name. The atmosphere around you feels tense because you are standing under divine observation. You are being measured for your next mantle. Chosen one. The prophetic alarm has begun to sound. It's not in the sky, it's inside your chest. Every heartbeat carries a warning. Be alert. Heaven is releasing instruction, but only the awake will hear it. This is not a season to drift. This is a season to discern. When God speaks loudly, it's usually because time is short, not to terrify you, but to prepare you. You are living in a window of grace, a sacred gap between warning and fulfillment. What you do with this window will determine what heaven does with your next season. You have felt delays and confusion recently. It's because heaven has been restraining you from premature moves. You've been frustrated, thinking doors were closed. But they weren't denied. They were delayed for your protection. The Spirit has been fine-tuning your ears, making sure you can tell the difference between emotion and instruction. Do you remember when everything you touched seemed to stall? That wasn't failure. It was divine timing, saving you from counterfeit opportunities. If the door had opened earlier, it would have crushed you. Heaven waits until the chosen one is ready to carry the weight of the call. Now the air around you feels charged. There's an invisible countdown in motion. Heaven is whispering. Do not miss this sound. The call is not to panic, but to prepare. You are being aligned for a divine assignment that will require precision, not performance. The prophet Ezekiel once spoke of watchmen, those who stay awake when the world sleeps, who listen when others are distracted. You are one of them. You can feel the shift before it's visible. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it's your weapon. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 6, verse 17. I appointed watchmen over you and said, listen to the sound of the trumpet. But they said, we will not listen. Oh, those words still echo. The trumpet is sounding again. But many scroll past it, numb from distraction. Not you. You've heard the alarm in your spirit, the stirring that won't let you rest. That restlessness is heaven shaking you awake before something shifts. This is the hour of spiritual watchfulness. You can no longer afford to move without instruction or speak without conviction. Every step must be guided, every word measured. You are being entrusted with revelation that others may not understand. And that's all right. Noah built the ark long before anyone believed the rain would fall. Chosen one. Take note of the patterns around you. When random things start aligning, when people reappear, when opportunities suddenly emerge, pause. Heaven is communicating through circumstances. The prophetic alarm doesn't always sound through thunder. Sometimes it whispers through divine coincidences. This is the time to guard your atmosphere. Limit what you consume, what you watch, what you allow into your spirit, not out of fear, but because your sensitivity is sacred. The same way a musician protects their hearing, you must protect your discernment. What you hear shapes what you build. There is also a holy urgency pressing upon your shoulders. You sense that something great is coming, both beautiful and heavy. Heaven doesn't warn to frighten, heaven warns to ready. The alarm of God is an act of mercy, a divine pause that gives you time to align before release. You must prepare your altar again. Return to prayer with intention. Return to Scripture, not as habit, but as hunger. Heaven is downloading blueprints for your next step, but only those awake will receive them. Don't ignore this sound. The prophetic alarm doesn't come twice for the same command. When God says, move, delay becomes disobedience. When God says, watch, distraction becomes danger. And right now, if this message stirs something deep within you, if you know in your spirit that this is speaking to you directly, mark this moment. Comment Shmuna Mot, Shmunim Veshmuna below, not as superstition, but as a prophetic act. The number 8 represents new beginnings, divine renewal, resurrection power. When you type 888, you are declaring, I am awake, I am listening, I am stepping into my new season. Heaven sees obedience even in simple acts of agreement. You are the watchman, the one who senses the storm before it breaks. Don't silence that intuition. What you feel is not paranoia, it's preparation. God is positioning you to warn, to intercede, to protect others before they even realize danger is near. So stay alert, stay humble, stay listening. The alarm has sounded, the watchers are rising, and heaven is recording your response in this very moment. Chosen one, You have entered a sacred tension, the space between mercy and consequence. Heaven has been patient. But patience is not permission. There is a line in the spirit that must not be crossed. A threshold where grace begins to withdraw its hand and truth takes its place. You are being warned not to linger in indecision any longer. God's mercy is deep, vast, like the ocean. But even oceans have shores. There comes a point where the waves of grace stop advancing because they have already reached your feet too many times. Heaven is urging you to respond while mercy still calls your name. The Spirit of God has been whispering, giving gentle reminders, sending confirmations, stirring conviction. But there is a danger in becoming too familiar with holy warnings. When conviction no longer stirs you, blindness begins to form. The same fire that once purified starts to feel comfortable, and that comfort can lead to complacency. You have been feeling this inner tug of war, the struggle between surrender and self, between obedience and delay. The truth is, your heart already knows what God has been asking of you. The wrestle isn't about clarity, it's about courage. Heaven has made the instruction clear. It is obedience that now hangs in the balance. Chosen one. Do not confuse delay with safety. Each moment you postpone what heaven has commanded, the window narrows. God loves you too much to let you wander forever. That is why the pressure has been increasing, why your peace has been disturbed, why doors that once opened easily now resist you. You are being redirected toward alignment. Heaven is not punishing you, it is protecting you from drifting too far. The Father disciplines those he loves because he knows what waits beyond disobedience. Sometimes the closing of doors is not rejection, it is rescue. You may feel trapped, but you are actually being kept. Mercy's warning is never cruel. It comes with love, even when it comes with weight. When God withdraws his peace, it is not to condemn you, it is to awaken you. The absence of peace is heaven's alarm. The unease you feel when you ignore his voice is grace, shouting louder than your comfort zone. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." This is heaven's rhythm. Mercy first, movement next, manifestation after. When you obey, time itself bends to favor you. But when you delay, time becomes your teacher, often through hardship. The appointed time is never late, but we can arrive unprepared if we refuse to move when called. You have been living in borrowed moments of grace, and the Spirit is saying, use them wisely. There are people connected to your obedience, destinies waiting for your yes. Every time you hesitate, their freedom is delayed too. You are not the only one. Heaven is waiting on whole generations. Hinge on your surrender. There is a heaviness in this truth, but also hope, because as long as you can still feel conviction, heaven has not closed the door. Conviction is proof that the Holy Spirit has not turned his face away. It is not a curse, it is a gift, the gentle hand of God pulling you back before it's too late. Chosen one. The mercy of God is not weak, it is fierce, relentless, protective. It pursues you in your confusion, your rebellion, your silence. But there comes a moment when that mercy steps back, not because it has run out, but because it must let you choose. Love cannot force surrender, it can only invite it. You are standing in that invitation right now. Heaven is giving you one more chance to decide to align your will with His, to step out of delay and into obedience. There will never be a perfect moment. Only this one, sacred and trembling with purpose. Do not wait for another sign. The sign is already before you. The shaking, the sleeplessness, the restlessness of your heart, all of it is heaven's handwriting across your days, spelling out a single word: return. And when you do, when you finally surrender without excuses, you will find that mercy has been waiting, not to punish, but to embrace. The moment obedience is chosen, peace floods back in like a tide returning to shore. Chosen one. Light has always been both your gift and your trial. You shine without trying. And because of that, darkness notices you. From childhood, you've carried an unseen glow, a sensitivity, a knowing, a weight that others couldn't name. You thought it was weakness, but it was discernment. The world saw difference. Heaven saw destiny. Now, as the days grow spiritually darker, that same light has become a target. The enemy knows he cannot destroy your anointing, so he tries to counterfeit it. The most dangerous deception is not open sin. It's imitation, holiness. It's the voice that sounds right but leads to pride. It's the opportunity that looks godly but hides self-glorification. You must learn now, more than ever, to distinguish divine light from artificial brilliance. Heaven's light humbles you, counterfeit light inflates you. True light draws you to prayer, false light draws you to performance. Heaven's light burns steady even in the storm, but the counterfeit flickers with every praise of men. The Spirit is exposing this subtle danger in your surroundings. You've seen it, people speaking in God's name but serving their own agendas. Messages that sound spiritual but lack substance. Promises that use sacred words to sell worldly gain. And you've felt the unease in your spirit. That unease is not judgment, it's discernment. It was proclaimed in the second letter to the Corinthians. Chapter 4, verse 6. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," made His light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ. That light within you is not ornamental, it's operational. It reveals, convicts, comforts, and exposes. It's why some people can't stand you without knowing why. Your presence reveals what their darkness prefers to hide. You don't need to speak much, your spirit already preaches. But beware of becoming weary from exposure. Light-bearers often grow tired of revealing what others refuse to see. Sometimes you'll feel isolated, misunderstood, even attacked for simply being authentic. Remember, gold doesn't argue with imitation, it just endures the fire and shines brighter. There's a sacred solitude in carrying real light. It's not popularity you're after, it's purity. The more God refines you, the fewer voices can walk beside you. That loneliness is not punishment, it's consecration. Heaven cannot place its purest oil in crowded hands. Understand this, light is responsibility. It will cost you comfort. You will often have to stand in truth when silence would be safer. You'll be misunderstood as arrogant when you're merely obedient. But do not dim your light to make others comfortable in their darkness. The same light that exposes also heals. You were born for such a time as this, to walk through counterfeit light and remain uncorrupted. To move in rooms where compromise reigns and still carry integrity. to look into the eyes of deception and not flinch. Heaven is proud of you. Chosen one. Every time you chose integrity over influence, every time you refused to sell truth for applause, you became more radiant. You may not see it, but in the spirit, your glow is blinding to darkness. Angels recognize your obedience as a signal, a beacon that draws divine reinforcement. When you step into places where others have bowed to pride, your very presence becomes resistance. Light is not silent, it speaks in brilliance. You have become a walking contradiction to the plans of darkness. This is why the pressure has intensified. The brighter your light, the stronger the opposition. But remember, resistance proves authenticity. Counterfeit light needs applause to survive. Divine light needs only endurance. Guard your light. Protect your peace. Do not trade the eternal glow for temporary glitter. Stay rooted in prayer, grounded in scripture, and guided by stillness. Heaven is expanding your capacity. What you carry is not just illumination, it's revelation. When you speak, you'll pierce through deception. When you walk, you'll mark territories with divine truth. You are not just carrying light, you are becoming it. Darkness will always imitate what it fears most. So if the enemy is copying you, it means you're dangerous to him. Keep shining. Not out of pride, but out of purpose. The world is dimming, but heaven has positioned you as its living lamp. Hold steady. Chosen one, let your light expose, heal, and guide. Let it cost you what it must, for nothing is more tragic than a dimmed destiny. The counterfeit will fall away, but the true light will remain. And you, child of illumination, were born to endure. Chosen one. You are standing at the edge of two paths. You can feel it, a divine crossroads stretching before you. Both roads calling your name, both offering purpose, but only one leading to destiny. Heaven watches in silence as you decide. This moment is not random, it's holy. Every decision you make in this season carries eternal weight. One path glows with comfort. It feels familiar, safe, predictable. It doesn't ask for risk, only compliance. You could walk it with ease, and the world would applaud you. But deep down, your spirit would know you chose ease over obedience. The other path burns with fire. It's narrow, demanding, laced with trials and stretching seasons, but its end is glory. It's the road less traveled, the one where heaven walks closest. The fire on it does not destroy, it refines. It burns away pride, fear, and doubt, until only obedience remains. You have felt this pull before, between convenience and conviction, between pleasing people and pleasing God. But now the decision can no longer be delayed. The Lord has brought you back to the same crossroad, not to punish you, but to offer you another chance to choose correctly. There are moments when heaven's silence is not distance but testing. The teacher does not speak during the exam, and that's where you are right now. God is watching what you will do when there is no sign, no confirmation, no voice, only conviction. As was spoken in the sacred book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve. That word choose still echoes through time. Every generation must face its own crossroads. Every chosen one must answer the same question: will you serve convenience or covenant? It's easy to say yes when the wind is behind you, but true surrender is proven in resistance. You are not being tested for destruction, you are being tested for distinction. Heaven wants to see if you can follow without a map, trust without evidence, and obey without reward. The enemy will offer shortcuts, flatter your weariness, whisper that obedience is too costly, but he cannot see what's waiting on the other side of your surrender. Beyond this fire lies favor that cannot be faked, authority that only comes through endurance. Every time you choose God's way, even when it hurts, you build unseen altars of victory. You may not realize it, but your choices ripple through eternity. Angels record every act of obedience as testimony against darkness. Heaven counts your yes as warfare. Chosen one. You have been chosen not because you are perfect, but because you are willing, and willingness always outweighs worthiness. God doesn't need flawless vessels, He needs surrendered ones. You are enough, because He has already equipped you for this moment. You may have lost people along the way, but notice something: they were comfortable on the wide road. They didn't leave you, they simply couldn't follow you. God will replace companionship with clarity. He will give you the strength to walk alone until you meet others carrying the same fire. And when you step onto the narrow path, everything changes. The air feels cleaner, the noise fades. You begin to hear heaven again. You realize the path wasn't about punishment, it was about purification. This moment is not just another decision, it is destiny disguised as choice. Heaven has paused to record your answer. What you say now becomes your signature on the scroll of purpose. If this word stirs something deep in your spirit, if you know heaven is speaking directly to you right now, comment, "I choose him," below. Say it as a covenant, not a caption. When you type those words, it's more than engagement, it's agreement. It's your declaration to both heaven and hell that you will not bow to ease, fear, or distraction. You are marking your allegiance publicly, saying, "I stand with truth, even if I stand alone." Heaven honors bold declarations. Every "I choose him" becomes a trumpet blast in the spirit, echoing through realms unseen, signaling that another warrior has stepped fully into obedience. Chosen one. This is your defining moment. Step onto the burning path. Let it refine you. Let it stretch you. Let it separate you. For though the flames are fierce, the gold that emerges will shine forever. Chosen one. There is a moment in every journey when rejection stops feeling like pain and starts feeling like protection. You've stood in front of closed doors, wondering what was wrong with you, why the opportunity vanished, why the friendship faded, why the plan collapsed. But now heaven is revealing what was hidden all along. Every no was a divine shield. Every delay was heaven's hand redirecting you from disaster, disguised as desire. Rejection is one of heaven's oldest languages. It doesn't sound kind at first, but it speaks the truth. This is not your place. Keep walking. You may not see it yet, but every path that ended early kept you from building a future on unstable ground. You were being rescued, not refused. Think of an archer pulling back the string of a bow. The backward motion feels like retreat, but it's only preparation for release. That's what rejection is. It's the pull before the launch. Every setback you faced was a stretch, preparing you to be propelled farther than you imagined. Heaven had to pull you back to aim you right. You see, closed doors don't mean closed destiny. Sometimes God locks what you loved because He knows it would have limited your calling. You would have settled for safety when you were made for significance. The rejection that broke your heart was actually the doorway to revelation. It's written in the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Those ancient words belong to you now. What others used to wound you, God is using to wake you. The rejection that made you question your worth is being rewritten into a testimony of purpose. You were never meant to fit in because you were created to stand out. Chosen one. Remember how you used to beg for certain things to stay people, jobs, moments, yet when they left, peace eventually returned. That's because peace is heaven's confirmation that loss was protection. You may have wept over endings that angels celebrated. Heaven knew that attachment to the wrong season would cost your destiny in the next one. So stop calling it failure. It was divine editing. You are the manuscript of heaven. And sometimes the author must erase a few lines to make the story whole. Every erased chapter still serves its purpose. It shaped your character, taught you discernment, and proved your endurance. There is beauty in every denied request. Rejection made you more compassionate, more careful, more dependent on God's voice than on human validation. You now know how to walk alone without feeling abandoned. You learned that isolation is sometimes the classroom of transformation. Think of yourself as a seed. Before it breaks the soil, it's buried in darkness. That dark space looks like rejection to the world. But underground, roots are forming. You were buried for a season so that when you rise, you'll be unshakable. Heaven never plants what it doesn't plan to harvest. So, when another door closes, lift your head instead of your complaint. Whisper, "Thank you for protecting me from what I can't yet see." Rejection never feels like mercy in the moment. But looking back, you'll see it was God's signature move. He saved you by saying no. And now, chosen one, I ask something simple yet sacred. If this word resonates deep within you, if you've recognized how every painful no was actually divine direction, take a quiet step of agreement. Like this message, share it, and subscribe, not for attention, but for alignment. When you share what healed you, you become part of heaven's chain reaction. Somewhere out there, someone is crying over the same kind of rejection you survived. Your act of sharing could be the bridge that helps them see that their heartbreak has holy purpose. Every like becomes a small light on their path. Every share is a hand reaching through the darkness. Every subscription keeps you close to the stream of prophetic reminders heaven is sending to guide you forward. It's not just engagement, it's encouragement multiplied. When we walk together, our faith becomes louder than our fear. One candle may flicker, but 1,000 candles create dawn. And that is how revival begins, not with noise, but with unity. With many hearts agreeing that pain will not define them, purpose will. So stand up straight. Beloved, brush off the ashes. The doors that closed were never your prison, they were your redirection. Heaven is building new passageways where rejection once stood. The tears you shed have watered the soil of a greater harvest. Rejection did not end you, it refined you. It did not silence your purpose, it sharpened your discernment. You are walking proof that even pain can become prophecy. So go ahead, walk forward with calm confidence. Smile at the memory of what left you, because now you know it was making room for what's coming. The author has turned the page, and this next chapter begins not with loss, but with launch. Chosen one. Have you ever wondered why certain seasons in your life seem to die without explanation? Why plans you believed were blessed suddenly withered? Why people who once burned with purpose alongside you grew cold and disappeared? Heaven is ready to show you now. The cause was not misfortune, but disobedience. Every destiny moves through cycles, and every cycle depends on obedience. When obedience stops, the flow of grace pauses. It's not that God abandons you, it's that He honors His own order. Grace sustains the faithful, but disobedience drains the divine rhythm that keeps your spirit alive. What you called delay was often a signal, a spiritual autopsy revealing where surrender stopped. You see, spiritual death doesn't always announce itself loudly. It begins quietly, in small compromises. A prayer skipped here, a conviction ignored there. Slowly, what was once sacred becomes routine. The fire dims, and we start blaming the world for what began within. But heaven knows. Heaven sees the moment the altar grows cold. Chosen one. You have been through these dry places before. You've known the emptiness that comes when your spirit feels far from the source. You prayed, but the words fell flat. You worshipped, but the presence didn't flow like before. That wasn't punishment, it was diagnosis. God allowed the dryness to reveal where you stopped, yielding. It is written in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 4. Yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first. Oh, those words are not condemnation, they are invitation. God never points out your drift to shame you, but to call you home. The dryness you feel is not rejection, it's heaven's longing for reunion. You have not lost favor, you've lost focus. Obedience is the oxygen of the Spirit. Without it, even great anointing suffocatus. You can sing, preach, or serve, but without obedience, it all becomes motion without meaning. Heaven values direction over display. You are not being asked to perform, you are being asked to return. Think of your spirit as a river. When obedience flows, the river stays alive, cleansing and refreshing everything it touches. But when pride or fear builds a dam, the water stagnates. It doesn't disappear, it just stops moving. And what stops moving starts decaying. God never meant your life to stagnate. You were born to flow. Sometimes, God allows drought, so you'll notice the dam, the frustration you feel, the sense of spiritual dryness. It's heaven's way of saying, clear the path. Remove what's blocking your flow. Unforgiveness, distraction, procrastination, fear of man. These things choke the current of grace that once made you powerful. You might think your calling has expired, but it hasn't. It's just waiting for oxygen, waiting for your obedience to restart the heartbeat of your destiny. Heaven doesn't revoke assignments, it revives surrendered vessels. Chosen one. Trace your steps back to the last thing God told you to do that you didn't finish. The unfinished assignment is where the flow stopped. When you return and complete it, you'll notice something miraculous. The presence will return stronger. The clarity will sharpen. The favor will flow again. You don't need to start over. You just need to start again from obedience. The Father isn't angry. He's waiting like the prodigal's father, eyes fixed on the road, ready to run when he sees your silhouette approaching. The moment you decide to return, heaven sprints to meet you halfway. Every loss, every delay, every heartbreak that followed your disobedience will be redeemed when you yield again. God wastes nothing, not even your mistakes. What you thought was the grave of your purpose will become the garden of your revival. Let this truth settle in your heart. Obedience is not slavery, it's synchronization. When you obey, you move at heaven's pace. You stop striving and start flowing. You become part of a divine choreography where every step, every decision, every delay carries sacred precision. You were never meant to live disconnected. Every time you wander, heaven begins to pull you back through gentle conviction. That pressure in your spirit isn't guilt, it's gravity pulling you home. When you finally surrender again, the river will break through the dam. You'll feel it, the rush of presence, the clarity of peace, the sweetness of grace returning to your soul. You'll remember why you first said yes. Chosen one. Don't let past failures define your future. Let them refine it. You're not too far gone. You're just one act of obedience away from revival. The spiritual autopsy is not a death report, it's a resurrection announcement. Heaven is not done with you. The river is still alive beneath the surface, waiting for your next yes to start flowing again. Chosen one. Heaven is moving around you even now. The atmosphere may feel heavy, but that weight is not oppression, it's angelic motion. The unseen world is stirring. Divine messengers have been dispatched, and their footsteps echo through your circumstances. You may not see them, but you have felt their presence in moments when you should have fallen. But something invisible held you up. You've survived things that logic cannot explain. There were nights you almost gave in, but an unseen calm wrapped around your heart. There were near misses, delays, sudden changes of plans that made no sense, yet looking back, you realize those interruptions were interventions. Heaven rerouted your path through divine interference. Angels moved pieces you didn't even know existed. Chosen one. You are being protected in ways your eyes can't yet perceive. The enemy's plans have been exposed before they could form. There were conversations where your name was mentioned for harm, but confusion broke out before the plan could succeed. There were accidents that should have ended your story, but somehow you walked away untouched. That somehow was an angel. The Spirit has assigned watchers to your life, beings of light, loyal to your destiny. They stand guard over your purpose like sentinels at the gates of heaven's design. They do not move by your power, but by your obedience. When you walk in alignment, they go before you. When you hesitate, they wait. The ancient records speak clearly in the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. That word command is not gentle, it is royal. It means heaven has issued an order concerning you. Protection is not optional, it's your inheritance. But that protection becomes active when obedience opens the gate. The angels assigned to you respond to alignment, not emotion. When you obey, they move with precision. When you rebel, they can only wait outside the barrier of free will. You may feel alone, but the unseen realm says otherwise. You are surrounded, encircled by purpose, protected by presence. Every step you take is watched by heaven's detail. Every breath accounted for. Nothing about your life is random. Every escape, every redirection, every sudden peace in chaos has been heaven's way of saying, I've got you. Not. Sometimes you sense it, a tingling in the atmosphere, a sudden awareness that something unseen has entered the room. That's not imagination. That's heaven verifying that you're not walking alone. There are moments when your prayers sound small, yet thunder in the unseen realm, because angels carry them higher. Chosen one. You need to understand this. The enemy fears your awareness. As long as you think you are unguarded, you live small. But the moment you realize heaven has assigned its best to your defense, fear begins to crumble. The enemy knows he cannot cross a line drawn by obedience and guarded by angels. Your current battles are proof of your assignment's weight. The heavier the warfare, the higher the angelic coverage. That's why certain storms couldn't destroy you. They weren't permitted. Heaven built invisible walls around your mission. And yet, the Spirit is revealing something deeper. You are not only protected, you are also being positioned. Angels are not just guarding you, they are guiding you. What you thought was delay is actually direction. What you called confusion is divine choreography. You're not losing ground. You're being repositioned for revelation. Heaven is adjusting your steps, ensuring that you arrive not just safely, but strategically. Every reroute has purpose. Every closed door, every unexpected shift is part of divine alignment. So if your life feels unstable right now, do not panic. Stability is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of guidance. The angels are at work. You are being led through a map too complex for human understanding. There are miracles being built in silence, battles being fought before you even wake. And in moments when you feel overwhelmed, remember, you are not just seen by heaven, you are surrounded by it. If this word burns in your spirit, if something deep within you knows that heaven has intervened on your behalf, then mark this moment with a prophetic act. Comment 555 below. That number signifies grace multiplied and divine deliverance. When you write it, you are agreeing with heaven's protection over your life. You are declaring, I acknowledge my covering. I trust the unseen shield around me. No, every 555 becomes a banner in the spirit realm, signaling to both angels and adversaries that you are aware, awake, and aligned. Heaven responds to faith in motion. And even this simple act carries weight when done with belief. So lift your head, chosen one. The storm may roar, but you are not unguarded. You walk beneath the shadow of the Almighty, escorted by flames of light, unseen by mortal eyes. The same God who commands galaxies has commanded angels for you. Stand tall beneath their wings. Move forward with quiet confidence. The enemy trembles at a soul who knows they are surrounded by heaven's strength. Chosen one. Fire has always been the language of heaven. It purifies, it separates, and it identifies. The fire you've been walking through lately is not random, it is refinement. You may have called it suffering, but in truth, it's sanctification. God has placed you in a holy furnace, not to destroy you, but to reveal what can no longer stay. You have prayed for power, for elevation, for divine favor, but those gifts come wrapped in fire. Heaven never places a crown on unrefined character. The flame that surrounds you right now is not evidence of God's anger. It is proof of His trust. He only refines what He plans to use. When gold enters the fire, it does not lose its value, it reveals it. The impurities rise to the surface only to be removed. The same is happening within you. The heat you feel is not judgment, it's extraction. Fear, pride, and hidden pain are surfacing, not to shame you, but to free you. The fire that hurts now will make you shine later. Chosen one, you've been asking, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I lose what I love every time I grow? Because heaven cannot promote you with baggage from an old season. Every level requires lighter luggage. You cannot carry offense, insecurity, or the approval of people into the next dimension of calling. The fire burns away the unnecessary, leaving only the eternal. There are moments when the flame feels unbearable, when the tears come faster than the answers. But even then, God is near. The fire is not outside His control, it is His instrument. You are not being abandoned in the flame, you are being watched by the one who stands within it. As was spoken in the book of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 10, See, I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. This is the truth of your refining. It is both painful and precious. The furnace is not your final destination. It is your transformation chamber. Every cry, every heartbreak, every betrayal is shaping something indestructible inside you. Notice how, even in your lowest moments, there was a strange kind of peace beneath the pain. That peace was the presence of the fourth man in the fire, the same one who walked with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You were never burning alone. Heaven has always been inside the flame with you. Fire reveals what water cannot wash away. It exposes attachments, unveils motives, and clarifies identity. You are learning what truly matters. The things that once consumed your attention now seem small, almost irrelevant. That's what the refining does. It changes your appetite. You begin to hunger for purity over popularity, depth over display, alignment over applause. And while others see your struggle, heaven sees your shaping. The smoke that rises from your trials is the incense of surrender. Every yes you've whispered through tears has become worship. Angels stand in awe of mortals who praise through fire. Chosen one, I know the flames feel fierce, but you will not be consumed. Fire cannot destroy what was born of spirit. The pain that tried to melt you is forging your faith into something heaven can use as a weapon. What you are enduring now is proof that your anointing carries weight. Soon, when you step out of this season, the fragrance of smoke will not cling to you. You will emerge radiant, purified, and stronger. Others will ask how you survived, and you will smile, not because it was easy, but because it was holy. You'll understand then that the fire was never sent to punish you, it was sent to announce you. Every refiner waits patiently until the gold's reflection matches their own. God is doing the same. He will not remove you from the furnace until He can see His likeness shining through your character. The process may be long, but the result is eternal. So endure the heat. Beloved, do not pray merely for escape, pray for endurance. Do not curse the flame. Thank it for revealing what was hidden. Let the fire complete its work, because what emerges will be unshakable. When this refining is over, your words will carry authority. Your presence will bring peace. Your prayers will pierce the darkness. You will not just speak about faith, you will embody it. Remember this: the fire that refines the chosen destroys the counterfeit. That's why your enemies cannot endure what you've survived. They were never built for this temperature, but you were. The refiner's hand is steady, his timing perfect. When he is finished, you will not just shine, you will illuminate. The furnace was never your burial, it was your birthplace. Stand firm. The fire will not last forever, but its results will. Chosen one. Before every elevation, there is separation. It is one of heaven's most misunderstood patterns. You prayed for new levels, but you did not realize it would cost you old circles. You asked to fly higher, but not everyone was meant to breathe at that altitude. What feels like loss right now is actually divine pruning. God is cutting away what can't carry the weight of where you're going. You have been sensing the distance growing between you and certain people, friends, mentors, even family. Conversations that once flowed now feel forced. Connections that once inspired you now drain you. Don't fight it, discern it. Heaven is removing distractions disguised as loyalty. The more refined your calling becomes, the fewer voices can echo in your atmosphere. The separation doesn't always happen in chaos. Sometimes it's quiet, a slow fading, a mutual stillness. That's because God doesn't need drama to deliver you. He simply shifts the wind. Suddenly, those who once walked beside you take different paths, and you stand alone, wondering why. The answer is simple. The road ahead was never built for crowds. Every eagle faces this moment. When the wind changes, the flock scatters. But the eagle does not panic. It stretches its wings. The altitude itself becomes its ally. Others can't follow because the air is too thin for lungs built for comfort. So don't mourn the distance. Celebrate the calling that made it necessary. It was proclaimed in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 2. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Those words are not cruelty, they are cultivation. Pruning always feels like loss, but it's the gardener's proof of trust. He only prunes what he plans to multiply. The cutting you feel is not punishment. It's preparation for abundance. Think of your spirit as a vine. Each branch represents connections, habits, and identities that once produced fruit. But seasons change, and old branches can no longer sustain new growth. The gardener's blade is precise. He cuts not to wound, but to make room for greater yield. Chosen one. There are people whose exit from your life felt sudden, even unfair. You tried to chase them, to mend what was meant to end. Yet every time you reached back, peace disappeared. That was your sign. Peace leaves when purpose leaves. Some doors don't close from malice, they close from mercy. You may not understand the timing, but trust the pattern. God always isolates before he elevates. Moses found the burning bush in solitude. David met his anointing in the pasture, not the palace. Even Jesus went to the wilderness before the cross. Heaven hides greatness until it's mature enough to handle exposure. Your solitude is not evidence of rejection, it's evidence of refinement. This silence is sacred. It's where God downloads blueprints that can't be overheard by unprepared hearts. You are being entrusted with revelation too heavy for casual company. Separation also brings healing. Distance allows wounds to close without the reopening that comes from constant reminders. You are learning to value quiet more than company, destiny more than comfort. Soon, you'll look back and realize the people who left didn't take your peace with them. They made space for it to grow. Don't rush this stage. Don't fill the emptiness with replacements. Let heaven choose your next connections. The ones coming are not just companions, they're covenant carriers, aligned by assignment, not convenience. You won't have to explain your purpose to them, they'll recognize it, because they were refined by similar fire. It's natural to grieve, even divine séparations heures, but let your tears water gratitude instead of bitterness. Thank God for what was, bless what is gone, and make room for what's next. The very people who misunderstood your silence will one day witness your emergence and understand why you had to go quiet. Chosen one. Remember this: loneliness is not the absence of people, it's the absence of alignment. You are not lonely, you are being aligned. Heaven is rearranging your orbit so that only those who belong in your destiny can remain. The pruning knife will not last forever. Once the cutting is complete, growth will explode in every area. The same branches that bled will soon bloom again. The separation was not the end of community, it was the beginning of clarity. You will walk lighter, love deeper, and discern faster. The crowd was never your confirmation. Presence was, and presence never leaves. It simply gets louder in solitude. So lift your eyes. Chosen one. What felt like subtraction was divine multiplication in disguise. Heaven has not taken from you, it has made room for the harvest. Chosen one. This is the part of the story where the war intensifies. The closer you come to breakthrough, the heavier the resistance feels. You can almost taste victory, but the air around you thickens, and every step forward feels like wading through fire. Don't be alarmed. This is not defeat. This is the war at the threshold. Every great promise has a guardian, an invisible resistance that tests your readiness before you enter. It's heaven's final checkpoint. The enemy knows he can't take your promise, but he'll do anything to make you abandon it. That's why this season feels like everything is coming against you at once. It's not coincidence, it's confirmation. You've probably wondered why small problems suddenly feel gigantic. Why people around you act strangely. Why fatigue sets in at the edge of progress. It's because hell always panics when heaven prepares to promote. You're standing before a door that doesn't open by might, but by endurance. Think of a seed. The moment before it breaks the soil, it faces the most pressure. The weight above it increases. The resistance multiplies. And just when it feels buried beyond recovery, life bursts through. That's what's happening to you right now. The pressure you feel is proof that something sacred is about to emerge. It is written in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Every tear you've shed, every sleepless night you've endured, every moment you've kept faith when everything's said, give up. They've been recorded. Nothing is wasted. Every act of perseverance becomes a seed in the soil of heaven. You've been planting with your pain, and harvest is on the horizon. Chosen one, you are not losing the battle. You are wearing down the resistance. The enemy's strategy is exhaustion, not victory. If he can drain your hope, he doesn't need to steal your promise. That's why you must protect your peace like a warrior guards his sword. Rest is not retreat, it's reloading. When fatigue comes, imagine yourself as an arrow drawn back in a bow. The tension you feel is not holding you back, it's positioning you for distance. Every setback is stretching you for greater impact. You are not stuck, you're being aimed. This is also the time to guard your words. The battlefield of destiny is sound sensitive. Speak life, even when you feel surrounded by death. Your declarations become divine artillery. When you say, "I will make it," heaven echoes, and angels strengthen your stance. And now, as you stand at this spiritual borderland, I ask something simple and sacred. Like this message, share it, and subscribe, not out of habit, but as an act of unity. Every click is a spark in a field of waiting hearts. You never know who is fighting their final battle tonight, who is on the verge of giving up. Your small act of sharing might be the whisper of hope they've been praying for. When you engage, you do more than spread content. You spread courage. You turn this message from a whisper into a wildfire. You become part of heaven's army of encouragers, lighting beacons across the darkness. And before this section closes, if you feel this message piercing your spirit, if you sense that this is your threshold season, I invite you to comment a simple declaration: I stand firm. And in fit, say it as a soldier would, steady, unshaken, aware that heaven watches. When you write it, you're not performing, you're planting faith in public view. That comment becomes your flag on the battlefield, your statement that surrender is not an option. Chosen one. Every battle ends, eventually. And so will this one. The storm will pass. The dust will settle. And you will still be standing stronger, wiser, and shining with the evidence of divine endurance. You are almost there. The threshold burns because you're inches away from entering what you were born for. The enemy isn't attacking your past. He's terrified of your future. Hold your ground. The gate is about to swing open. Heaven has seen your fight. The commander of hosts himself whispers, "Well done." The war will not break you. It will brand you with authority. You are being transformed from survivor to standard bearer, from wounded warrior to crowned conqueror. So breathe deeply. Lift your head. Take one more step. The fire around you is not consuming you, it's announcing you. When the smoke clears, the world will see not what you lost, but what you've become. Chosen one. The silence you feel now is not absence, it's strategy. You've come through battle, through refining, through pruning and obedience. And now, heaven has gone quiet. The noise of war has faded. The urgency has eased. And what remains is stillness. It feels unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable, because you've learned to associate God's presence with movement. But this silence is not withdrawal, it's the space before the storm breaks. Heaven's greatest moves are often birthed in silence. Between promise and fulfillment, there is always a hush. The soil goes still before it bursts forth with life. The ocean grows calm before the tide changes. And in the same way, your spirit is being held in holy quietness before acceleration returns. This silence is sacred. It's not empty. It's loaded with intention. Heaven is aligning what your eyes cannot see. Threads are being woven. Paths are being cleared. And names are being mentioned in rooms you've never entered. God is not ignoring you. He's working in stealth mode. Think of an artist painting a masterpiece. When the brush stops moving, the crowd grows restless, thinking the work is paused. But the artist steps back, observing from a distance, ensuring every stroke fits the grand design. That's what heaven is doing with your life right now, stepping back, examining, preparing to reveal what's been hidden behind the curtain of silence. As the prophet Elijah discovered on the mountain, God was not in the wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in the whisper. The silence you hear is not the absence of voice, it's the whisper waiting for your attention. Heaven lowers its volume when it wants your focus. It was written in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the true day, salvation of the Lord. That ancient line holds profound truth. Quiet waiting is not passive, it's an act of trust. It means resting without retreating, holding your position while heaven rearranges the battlefield. The world rushes, but heaven never panics. God is not late, He is precise. Chosen one. Your silent season is not a void, it's a vault. What you think is delay is actually preservation. Heaven has placed your destiny in safekeeping until you're fully equipped to handle it. What's being withheld is not punishment, it's timing. God is maturing both the promise and the person who will carry it. This is also the season when hidden growth takes place. Just as seeds break in darkness before they sprout in light, your roots are strengthening underground. You may not see movement, but the unseen is thriving. Your faith is deepening, your discernment sharpening, your character solidifying. You are becoming unshakable in silence. The quiet also exposes what noise once concealed. You're starting to recognize which desires were divine and which were distractions. Without the echo of other voices, you can finally hear your own heart and God's heart beating together. The silence teaches you that intimacy doesn't need words, it needs awareness. Do not mistake the pause for abandonment. Even Jesus experienced silence in the garden before the cross. Heaven's hush comes before heaven's glory. When God trusts you with silence, it's because He knows you'll wait instead of wander. That kind of patience is rare. It's the patience of prophets. In this quietness, heaven is training you for the weight of the next word. The next instruction you receive will not be small. It will redirect your path, open nations, or heal generations. That's why heaven has hushed the room, so you won't miss a syllable when the next command comes. Rest in this rhythm. Let the stillness heal what the battle wounded. You don't have to prove faith through constant motion. True faith is the ability to rest while waiting for the unseen to manifest. Even the earth takes Sabbath after harvest. Even heaven pauses after victory. Soon, the silence will break. It won't be gradual. It will be sudden. Like dawn, splitting the horizon after a long night. You will wake one morning, and peace will feel different, thicker, heavier, charged with promise. The stillness will shift, and the air will hum with movement again. Chosen one. Don't rush the ending of the silence. It's doing more for you than noise ever could. Heaven is tuning your spirit to the frequency of obedience, the sound of subtle instruction. When the storm finally breaks, you'll know exactly where to stand, what to say, and when to move. Until then, Let stillness become your sanctuary. Let peace be your posture. The silence is not empty, it's holy. The storm is near, but you are ready. Chosen one. You have reached the edge of everything this journey was meant to reveal. The warning has been spoken. The refining has burned. The pruning has cut. And now you stand beneath the quiet sky of fulfillment. Heaven has been shaping you all along for this moment of decision, this awakening of obedience, this crowning of purpose. There is a stillness around you, but it is not ordinary. It is the hush that comes before a coronation. All of heaven watches in reverent silence as the chosen one rises from the ashes of the old self. You've walked through storms that stripped away every illusion. Yet, here you are standing, scarred but shining, empty yet full. This is the final warning before release. The last call before the door opens fully. Heaven has done its part. Now the next movement belongs to you. Every choice you make from here will echo into generations. You've been trained not only to hear, but to respond, to move when heaven breathes, to speak when heaven stirs, to hold still when heaven waits. What lies ahead is not ease but clarity. The road is still narrow, but now your steps are sure. You are no longer wandering, you are walking with awareness. The difference between then and now is not circumstance, it's sight. You can see what you once ignored. You can discern what you once doubted. There is something sacred about the final stage of a warning. It doesn't come to frighten but to focus. The weight of this moment is not judgment, it's invitation. You have been called to reign, not as one who dominates, but as one who serves, heals, and guides others out of darkness. The crown waiting for you is not made of gold, but of glory, the kind that comes from obedience. Heaven is not silent now, it's solemn. The angels who once guarded are now gathering. The scrolls of destiny that carried your name are being unsealed. Your journey has reached its turning point. The preparation has ended. The purpose begins. It was written in the second letter of Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. These words now belong to you, not as an ending, but as a beginning. You have fought through doubt, through loneliness, through invisible wars that no one applauded you for. You finished the unseen race of refinement, and because you kept the faith, heaven will now entrust you with authority that cannot be counterfeited. Chosen one, understand this truth. Crowns are not handed to the comfortable, they are forged in battle, polished by tears, and fitted in surrender. Yours is ready, and the hands that will place it upon your head bear the scars of redemption. This is not the reward for perfection, but for perseverance. The final warning was never meant to instill fear, but to ignite fire. Heaven has been reminding you that grace is both gift and responsibility. The same light that now rests on you will draw others, and with that influence comes weight. You will be tempted again by distraction, by pride, by comfort, but this time you will recognize the pattern. You will remember the furnace, the pruning, the silence, and the whisper, and you will choose obedience, even when it costs you applause. This is the moment of the crowned awakening. You have passed through mercy's final doorway and entered maturity. What once terrified you now trains you. What once hurt you now humbles you. You will no longer chase signs. You will become one. Your life itself will speak the language of heaven, a living sermon written in scars and glory. The warning has accomplished its work. You are awake. The fog of confusion has lifted, and your eyes burn with understanding. The voice that once called from the distance now speaks from within. You and heaven are in rhythm again, heartbeat to heartbeat, will to will. From this point forward, your steps will carry weight beyond measure. Every word you speak will echo through the spiritual realm. Every prayer will move walls you once thought immovable. You have crossed from being called to being commissioned. Chosen one. Breathe. Feel the crown settling upon your head, not a symbol of superiority, but of surrender. It glows not because of gold, but because of glory, the reflection of a heart fully yielded. The war within is over. The purpose begins. Heaven smiles. The scroll closes. The warning ends not in threat, but in triumph. You have heard. You have obeyed. You have endured. And now, you will reign. Chosen one. If you've come this far, then you already know this wasn't just a story, it was a summons. Heaven has been speaking through every word, every pause, every fire. You didn't stumble upon these messages by chance. You were guided here, shaped moment by moment, until your spirit recognized the voice calling your name. Now the journey stands complete. The warning has been delivered, the revelation received, the crown placed. You are no longer wandering in uncertainty, you are walking in awakening. From this point, your life becomes the message, your peace, your endurance. Your quiet strength will preach louder than any sermon. And yet, this isn't the end. It's a continuation, because every chosen one becomes a light for others still trapped in shadow. Someone out there needs the same reminder that reached you. Someone is still standing at the edge of surrender, waiting for a voice of hope. You can be that voice. If this message stirred something deep inside you, if it realigned your faith or reignited your fire, then take a small, sacred step like this message. Share it and subscribe. Do it not for numbers, but for impact. Every share is a ripple of truth moving farther than you can imagine. Every like strengthens the signal of light across the noise. And as you do, leave a comment below. Something simple from your heart. Maybe, I'm ready, or I receive it, or even, thank you, Lord. Those words become your final act of agreement, sealing everything heaven has whispered to you through this script. Stay connected. Stay listening. The same voice that found you here will keep speaking, guiding, and revealing. Heaven's story through you has only just begun.